Can you sell something to someone without communicating? All right. Welcome to another webinar by Brandwise. My name is Azariah Olanrewaju, and today we're going to be discussing something very unique to businesses, something very new, something very not controversial, but very important for businesses to understand. And it's simply communication. We will discuss what communication looks like and how communication should actually look like. All right, so let's start the presentation. Okay. All right. Yeah, so communication redefined, tailored for brand success. Presented by my humble self, Azariah, Olanrewaju. All right, so it's going to be a very quick one, very straight to the point. I don't want to waste anyone's time or, beat around the bush. So yeah, we'll just get everything off the plate and let's see what I believe that brand should actually be doing and what they are currently doing, or rather going slightly deeper apart from the generic idea of communication. Yeah, so before we delve deep, let's talk about Brandwise for a while. About Brandwise, Brandwise is a company that partners with personal brands, businesses, to work alongside with them, create tailored strategies for them, and the main goal at the end of the day is to improve sales. Every business is all about the sales, so that's what Brandwise is about. Brandwise is a marketing company unique to one particular approach, which is partnering with those we work with and then coming up with tailored strategies for them in order to achieve the goal of improving sales. Yeah. My name is Azariah Olanrewaju, and I'm a sales strategist. I'm a musician. I'm a public speaker. Everyone is a public speaker, so I'm a public speaker, and I'm the founder of Brandwise. And I would like to consider myself an author because I have some books out there. I try to put my thoughts in an organized way and upload it to the public space. So guys can just Google search and I'll pop up like popcorn. Okay. So to the topic of the day, communication. So why communication? Why is communication important? I believe communication is important because it is the foundation of businesses. Without communication, there is no business. Without communication, there is no business. See, listen, there's something you need to understand now. That right now, what I'm doing is communicating with you. So, can you sell something to someone without communicating? No, you can't. Reason being that you either communicate verbally or non-verbally. There must be some form of communication. Every content you put out there, every video, every copy, whatsoever you put out there in a public space on social media is a form of communication. And it's important for it to know that without communication, there is no business at all. Another reason why communication is important is because it helps you to build influence. Now, if you're not communicating, you're not making impact. You can't influence anyone. This is what I mean. Every single great leader, every single brand, every single business out there is in the job of influencing people. Myron Gordon would say something like, if you're not investing in your mind, someone else is investing in your mind for you. He said, you would have to actually read books, improve your mindset. He said, if you're not doing that, other people will do it for you. This is what he means. He said, that is what you do when you watch an advert, when you listen to the news, things like that. Basically, what he's trying to say is someone else is influencing your mind if you're not influencing your mind by yourself. And that is so profound. It's on point. It's straight to the point. There's so much wisdom in it. Think about it. If you're not investing in your own mind, someone else is investing in it for you. Meaning, you're either influencing the way you think, you're influencing your environment, or you're being influenced. Either way, you are being influenced. But the idea is, are you doing more influencing, or are you influencing people more than you're being influenced? I don't know if that makes sense. So that's what communication does. For anybody to buy anything from you, it means you must have influenced them to actually consider you to be good enough to provide them the value they're looking for. If that makes sense. Okay. Another reason why communication is important is because it's for smooth operations. Now, this brings us to the system in the brand. There's a department called the human resource department. Now, to me, the human resource department is like the department that brings, like it says, human resources. Every single person in the business is a human resource. So that department seems to, look at the communication, how smooth the company is moving, or how smooth the company is operating. And this is why we have the CEO, we have managers, to make sure that it's smooth operation. So communication is the most important tool that businesses, brands, managers, leaders, politicians all use to make sure that a particular system that defines something is working smoothly. So the last point we have is it conveys brand identity. Now, the way you communicate is how you'll be perceived. If you communicate as the way lawyers communicate is different from the way a mechanic would communicate, or a politician would communicate, or a random trader. When I mean random trader, I'm saying a sole trader, a small scale business trader, a sole proprietorship would communicate. The type of communication you put out there, or the tone, the how you want to be perceived will determine how people perceive you. So how you want to be perceived is seen in the kind of communication you practice. So moving on, I want us to see what we currently know as communication, the current definition of communication. The current definition of communication is the act of sending and receiving information. Listen, the act of sending and receiving information in a clear, simple, and meaningful way that creates, can you see that, shared understanding between two or more people. Between two or more people. Now, what does that mean? That simply means that simply means that there is a sending, there is a receiving, there is an information, and that information must be shared in a clear, simple, and meaningful way. Now, I'm sorry, but this definition is correct. No doubt, it lays the foundation for the redefining of of communication that I want to portray to us in this video. Now, this is long, it's easy to understand, but it's still not easy to understand. It's still not easy to understand. Now, what do I mean? What can you pick here? When you just know that there's a sender, there is a receiver, and there's an information, and the information must be shared clearly, blah, blah, blah. Now, when we go further and I explain certain things to you, you would actually realize that we need to redefine communication, and the way it has been redefined here in Brandwise would blow your mind, would make it easier for you. You realize what is more important in communication and what needs to be left out in communication. Now, for communication to be possible, just like the definition that we know, that we just saw, what he said was, there have to be a sender, there have to be a receiver before communication can happen. The sender sends an information, the information is received by the receiver, and then the receiver can also send an information back to the sender, and that's the whole idea of communication. If this makes sense, you would realize that most people, most brands actually don't communicate. They only think they communicate. When you know you're communicating is when the receiver understands what you're saying. Have you ever been in a situation where maybe you're on a call with a customer care or something, and you're asking questions and the person just keeps saying something else that it's not in line with what you're saying, or it's not in line with the inquiry you're trying to make? Now, the point is, it's not your fault. You communicated something to them. This is okay, I got this product, it's not working, what should I do? And then they're telling you something else that is not in line with what you're actually asking for. Or I see this happen a lot in let me say debates, debate where people where you're trying to put your thoughts out there and someone else is trying to receive those thoughts, but then because of either they're trying to save face or they're trying to avoid facing the truth, then or they're simply ignorant about the topic and they don't want you to know they're ignorant on how to help you. They try to cut corners, and then you're confused like, I don't care what this guy is saying. I don't get what this guy is saying. So now the thing is, the person does not have an idea of the information he or she wants to pass across to you. This is why redefining communication in a simpler way makes sense. And for us to redefine communication, there are three things we need to understand. One, we need to understand the information. Now, you can't tell me you want to talk about politics and you don't know government. There was this, I'm sorry to use this example, but it's the most, to me right now, that's the only example coming to my head. And it's the most ridiculous example I've ever seen. I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm not saying I know everything, but how can you be a politician and you don't even know your national anthem? You don't know the number of states you have in your country. You don't know the name of your president. Weird. Or you don't even know your history. So, what do you want to communicate to people? How do you want to get people to vote for you? It doesn't make sense. The information is important. And when I say information here, I just don't mean, I mean the subject matter you're trying to put out there, the real subject matter. If you're talking about marketing, make sure you know marketing. If you're talking about your product, make sure you know your product, the strength, the weaknesses. If you're representing a company, make sure you know what the company does, the every single detail about it. Now, the best way, let me put it out there, the best way for anyone to represent a brand is to experience the brand. If you've not experienced the brand, you cannot stand for the brand. Simple as ABC. Until you start until you understand the brand, you cannot represent the brand in a convincing manner. You cannot communicate the brand. You can't. It's not possible. This is why most businesses only survive with the presence of a CEO or the presence of the founder of the company. Once the founder is not around, the business seems to sleep. That's because the people within the company have not experienced the brand. They've not experienced the company, so they cannot communicate the company to people. This is why in Brandwise we say we partner with brand businesses. Now, we can easily say something like we work, but we are we we place emphasis on the word partnership, because we believe if you can communicate what your company does to us, we would work with you based on the vision you see, based on your mission, based on the ideologies you have about your company, and then we can come up with tailored strategies for you. You get what I'm trying to say? So you need to understand the information you want to pass across. Secondly, you need to understand the mind of the receiver. This is very important. This is not the receiver. This is the mind of the receiver. Now, I said this is not the receiver, not to confuse you that the mind of the receiver is different from the receiver. No, the mind of the receiver belongs to the receiver. But who are you trying to communicate to? You're trying to communicate to a receiver who has a mind. No, don't get me wrong. What I'm trying to say is simple. Instead of you to focus on the receiver as an entity, focus on the mind of the receiver, which gives you an in-depth ideology about your receiver. You know, this is what most people call understanding your target audience, or something like, creating a persona where you want to imagine, okay, let's say Steven is 42, Steven works at the bank, he earns £15,000 a year per annum, this, and that. And this is the kind of, this is his personality, is outgoing, is, you've created a persona for you. You're trying to understand the mind of your receiver. Now, look at this. In Nigeria, Milo is known as Milo, but outside of Nigeria, it's known as Milo. Now, why is the context different? I've given the word away. Context. The mind of the receivers in Nigeria, because of the way our language is structured, because of the way we speak, our intonation, the use of words, the creation of our words is unique to us, is unique to our tradition, is unique to our way of life. And then it's easy for us to pronounce it as Milo, which comes with this not ridiculous but catchy clap. Even to the extent that in schools now we have the Milo clap, like really Milo clap. Clap is clap, like everyone claps. So how did you come about the Milo clap? It's simple. The company understood the mind of the receiver, not just the receiver. They understood the mind of the receiver. The receiver of that product are children, the parents, So they have to think about how the mind of children works. You understand what I'm trying to say? So when you understand the mind of your receiver, you would be able to communicate better with him. And now, please, this communication is not just based on trying to sell something to someone here. No, my focus here is how do you communicate with people as a brand? Your customers are one of those people. In your internal communication, those within your company are also the people. So there's internal communication, there's external communication. The mind of those in your company, the mind of those out of your company, they are the receivers. So if I would say this video is targeted to anyone, I would say it's targeted to founders, it's targeted to business owners, it's targeted to public speakers, it's targeted to anyone who has a brand and anyone who understands the value of communication. And then the third thing that you need to understand, because I have to be fast, the third thing you need to understand is the methods of shaping the information. Now, what does this mean? Like I said at the beginning, there are verbal communication and there's non-verbal communication. Now, in an average Nigerian family, if every child knows that when your mom winks at you in a certain way, you're either in trouble or you're being warned not to do something. I don't know how it works in other culture, but it works in an average Nigerian family. There's this special look your mom would give you, and you know, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I'm in deep soup. I'm in trouble. So there is a way you need to communicate, and the method of which you shape your communication depends on the mind of the receiver. This leads me to the last point I want to make here, which is the redefining of communication. Now, communication redefined is this: communication is the process of understanding an information and shaping it in a way the mind of your audience would understand. This is the best definition I can find because I created it. Now, I meditated on communication, tried to understand what it was, what are the components of communication, and I realized there were just 3 components. And the 3 components are the information, the mind of the receiver, and the method by which you shape the information. And that is what brought us to this definition. Once you understand the definition in this manner, in this kind of approach, you would realize that communication has been made easier for you to understand. If that makes sense, which I believe it does make sense. Okay, now I would advise that if you have any questions or whatsoever, you can just leave it in the comment section, just drop your thoughts, and we will get back to you, or you can just send us an email on any of at consult now at brandwiseconsultancy.com, or just send us a DM on any of our platforms. So yeah, do more with us, reach out to us, let's partner with you, let's help you to make the 180-degree shift, improve yourselves and all that. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it has, transformed your mind, changed how you think, and helped you to see in a different light. Thank you very much and stay blessed.